Dealing with Daedra is a wonderful mod for the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. This mod adds multiple joinable factions into the game world. You can join them as a level 1 character to smooth out early character progression. Apart from activity jobs, you will find dynamic world content, new items, new magic systems, powers, and a lot more. But the main selling point for me was the Morrowind style quests. You see, the author does not care about the Skyrim's journal system, so all quests here are delivered via notes and dialogue. So for a change, we will need to do some critical thinking and not be map marker automatons. In this video, we will read the mod author's blog which says how the Skyrim quest log killed roleplay. This blog is very interesting and will surely make all of us think. So get some piping hot green tea and join me as we lament over Bethesda's design decisions and ponder about Elder Scrolls 6. The Skyrim quest log is a poorly designed abomination. It is responsible either directly or through one order of separation, knock-on effects, for probably 80% of the removal of the R in RPG in the Elder Scrolls. This is due to the multitude of problems it introduces under 3 primary categories: the active quest system, the radiant quest system, and the psychology of the arrow. In each case, the solution to the problem involved whittling away at the role-playing elements, which is why there is almost none left. So, when he says the arrow, I'm assuming he means the floating map marker, right? When you do a Skyrim quest, you will have a map marker to the solution, and which doesn't give you any incentive to actually do some thinking. People are so used to it that I think even Elder Scrolls 6 will have map marker. Oh well. So, the R in the RPG is not here anymore. That's a great way of putting it. The whole point of this mod is to restore these elements, obviously, meaning the quest log was out of the question. So he says, my solution was not ideal. Ideally, I would have been able to implement something along the lines of the Baldur's Gate journal. Alternatively, I could have used experimental mechanisms such as time limits that autofails quests to solve some of these problems at the cost of others. However, the take notes literal notepad solution is overall the best I could devise. So Take Notes is a mod that allows you to take notes in Skyrim. This author suggests that while working on the quests of this mod, the mod author suggests you to use this mod, Take Notes, and actually document everything that an NPC says, which will help you in your role-playing experience. Okay, so then he talks about the major problems. First is the active quest system. The first and the most critical problem introduced by the quest log is that when a quest starts, it sits in your log forever unless you fail it or finish it. Even if I don't want to do some of the quests are added in your face, and Bethesda has continued with that kind of tradition even with Starfield. I have played around 35 hours of Starfield. As soon as you enter the city of New Atlantis and you start walking around, the NPCs start piling those quests in your journal. It's an incredibly awful system. I don't understand why Bethesda continues to do that. I'm sure Elder Scrolls 6 will continue the tradition. So, adding quests to the log. Many, though not enough, of the quests in Skyrim have an intermediate start state where they leave a note to pursue them in your miscellaneous tab. This is better than starting the quest outright, but still carries the problem of clutter sitting in your log forever, constantly needling you to do this. This fundamentally encourages the master of all trades approach rather than role-playing a specific character type. All it would have required was that Bethesda implement the ability to delete miscellaneous objective tips and have all quests require actively starting after receiving the set tip. Mods such as Quest Eraser tries to implement this, but the way the implementation works means that the solution is not natively compatible with other mods. Quests that force start in this way also destroys mutual exclusivity. If you could not be both the harbinger and the listener when both those chains auto-start when walking by an NPC, it would be an exceptionally frustrating experience. Hence, now you can be both a hero and a king murderer at the same time. Yeah, exactly what I was talking about. You walk past an NPC and then you get a quest added to your journal. It's like ridiculous. Active quests in the log. Active quests to the log and active quests in the log. This is in the log, okay? Once a quest is actually in the log, it is forever cluttering up your UI. The objective system is particularly problematic here, constantly noting all the things that you should be doing rather than things you could be doing. The whole log is a railroad which appeals to the psychological need for completionism rather than how well it actually fits your character. Excellent point. The log UI is also a problem as the entries have to be pre-written, so there is no way to tailor them to show how your character feels about it. This completionist-centric approach means that active quests therefore can't have the player make or any meaningful sacrifices, as it just creates bitterness if you feel like you're forced to sacrifice something instead of it being a choice. It also means that once you start a quest, it has to be theoretically possible to complete it straight through without major detours for your character, or else there's an impossible entry stuck there. So there's no sense of progression in cases like becoming the archmage of the college 2 days after joining as an apprentice. Alright, let's take a look at this quest from the Thieves Guild, where you actually have to speak to business owners in Rift 10 and actually collect money from them, right? As the mod author says, the objective system constantly notes all the things that you should be doing rather than things you could be doing. The whole log is a railroad which appeals to the psychological need for completionism. So exactly what we're talking about here. The next point is about removing quests from the log. Any quest that is in your log cannot be left there if it isn't possible to complete it. That fails the quest, or making it so the NPCs cannot die or items cannot be lost. Essentially what Bethesda does is they make NPCs as essentials, they can't die, and you cannot remove items from your inventory because it's a quest item, right? The former strips the player of choice, as it requires an exponential amount of time in implementation and testing to ensure that everything works for every possible branching option or choice. Meaning that making a single branching quest can easily take as much time as 4 or more normal quests. No wonder we don't have lots of branching quests in Skyrim, right? I mean, there's hardly any branching. Maybe a few choices here and there. Even simpler linear quests are still often twice as time consuming to implement in this way. I see. The latter strips the player of agency by making it impossible to fail, and also littering the world with garbage like items you cannot drop and NPCs you cannot stop from witnessing your crimes. Yeah, remember in Morrowind we could actually drop the package given to us. You're supposed to take that package. It's a key package for the main quest. You're supposed to take that package to Caius Cosadus. You can actually drop it. Of course, all that is no more. I mean, any quest item is stuck in your inventory forever. Collective impact on role-playing. Collectively, these three elements rob the player of any measure of choice. You are forced to start quests, so you cannot have quests that are mutually exclusive. Quests cannot have cost-benefit trade-offs, meaning you cannot make hard sacrifices. You are forced to complete quests even if a given quest mark makes no sense for a given character. Quests have to be capable of completion by any character that starts them, meaning there is no long-term goal and no appreciable difference between a novice and a master. Quests have to be linear or close to, so you can't tailor your approach to suit specific characters. It's almost impossible to fail a quest, meaning there are no consequences. Have I experienced any quests that failed in Skyrim? I don't remember. In Morrowind, it's like insane, right? You can actually kill Vivek and you get a crazy alert message that please reload or save. Kind of fun. The fact that they make NPCs as essential and you can't remove quest items and you can't fail quests is so bad for role playing. And they've taken this to an extreme level in Starfield. And I'm sure that'll continue in Elder Scrolls 6 too. Okay, let's carry on. Together, this means that questing becomes fundamentally impossible to roleplay. Content is forced down your throat in a way that actively discourages any attempt to roleplay. If you simply put up with a cluttered log of non-applicable quests and resist these attempts, the amount of content available to any particular build is extremely limited and often chained together in nonsensical ways. It actively encourages a turn-off brain. Kill, loot, return, faction 1. Kill, loot, return, faction 2. Kill, loot, return, faction 3. Game complete, uninstall. It's hilarious, man. where the player just completes all the content with no role playing at all, and then has substantially reduced replayability. Quite eye-opening, isn't it? I'm sure many of us in this channel know all about this, but it's still fun to read when he puts it like this. The amount of content available for any particular build is extremely limited and often chained together. This is very important. The fact that modded Skyrim offers all the systems that you need for role-playing, but then when you actually start doing the content, it's totally lacking. Consider Bethesda's Dawn Guard questline. Anytime you walk past a guard after level 10, you're saddled with that niggling note in your log forever. Even if you're a vampire, this is the only way to start the quest. Oh yeah. Hey man, I'm a vampire, and I'm supposed to talk to the people who are actively trying to kill me. Huh? What kind of start is that? I'm glad we have this mod. If you're a vampire when the Dawn Guard quest begins, why would you ever visit Isran? This mod allows you to receive a letter from the Volkihar clan shortly after the Dawn Guard quest appears in your journal. So you can go directly to Dim Hollow and free Serena and become a vampire lord. So this is an awesome mod, and this should have been part of the base game. I don't understand what Bethesda was smoking when they worked on the vampire questline. Further on, while you do at least get to choose between Vampire or Dawn Guard Radiant quests, the actual main quest line railroads you into doing things like taking Serena to the castle, even if you want to play Dawn Guard. Yeah, exactly. Why do we need to take Serena to Castle Volkihar and actually visit them when we are playing as a Dawn Guard? Even if you join the Dawn Guard and then later become a vampire at the Soul Cane quest and decide to stay that way, you can't turn on the Dawn Guard because they are immortal. Good point. There are no actual costs involved. Becoming a vampire carries the biggest drawback of any feature in Skyrim, and it just provides a small flat stat modifier to stamina regen and fire resistance, which can easily be neutralized with enchantments. Once you start the Dawn Guard, you can complete it at level 10, killing thousands of year-old vampires. Every step of the questline forces the player to act and feel as Bethesda intended, and there is only one possible ending. You kill Harkon and then kill the other faction. A complete dumpster fire of a questline for role players, only worth completing once for each faction. I love this mod author, he's amazing. Yeah, the Dawn Guard questline was very disappointing for me. I mean, we could have had multiple vampire clans with questlines for each clan. We could have had a questline for the Vigilant of Stendar, and we could have also had a proper questline for the Dawn Guard, with real rivalries and real choice and consequence. Even the Snow Elves could have been explored better. There's so much lore here and so much content to play around with, but sadly, as the mod author says, this is a complete dumpster fire of a questline. Consider dealing with Daedra's Mage Blight questline. Yeah, so this is one questline which is part of this mod. There are multiple pointed tie-ins providing roleplay accessibility to a variety of character types, ranging from being on a courier job, catching the disease as a mage, catching the disease as a muggle, finding incriminating documents in a crime lord's safe, having your vigilant handler outed as a warlock, deciding to join a witch hunting society, etc. Yeah, so many options here. None of these actually force themselves on you. If you don't want to follow them, you can simply move on and never consider it again. During the questline, you can choose to turn on Grados and kill him at any point if you decide he has gone too far, or you learn more about the context. The questline is broken into easy intro section and a more difficult second half, which actively directs you to take a questing detour or just stop the questline there. Each step of the questline, you can decide how the character feels, and there are 3 major endings, which each permanently lock out certain mechanics. This is objectively better for roleplay than Dawn Guard is, with at least the potential for replay, which would not be possible if using the quest log. Very interesting. I've joined a couple of factions in this mod, but I'm yet to encounter the Mage Blight questline, so I'm looking forward to it. Okay, next. The Radiant system. The second biggest problem is how the Radiant system dynamic objective fill is self-limiting. According to the trickster god Todd Howard, the point of the Radiant quest system was to provide infinite and replayable content. As noted above, the knock-on effect of the quest log caused a severe loss of replayability, which is likely why this was necessary. Trickster god, I like that. What a guy. Okay, alias filling objectives. The way the quest log is set up to process alias filling from radiant objectives is too loose to be engaging but not flexible enough to be freeform. You must kill random cells boss flagged actor, so no history behind why this target exists or what he did or who specifically set the bounty. The radiant system has created an objective so bland and disposable that it's completely forgettable and provides no context through which a player could craft a roleplay response. On the flip side, if an alias picks a Warhammer of Embers, no other fire enchanted Warhammer will do. You cannot solve the problem by buying another one or enchanting a replacement yourself. The gamified nature is so apparent that it ruins immersion, while there is absolutely no opportunity or leeway for interesting roleplay approaches to the problem. These are so soulless, man. These quests, radiant quests, oh my god, they're so soulless. And for me, the worst aspect of radiant quests is the fact that they've added them within a faction questline. These are so annoying. The fact that they couldn't be bothered to even create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 handcrafted quests and just add radiant quests as part of a faction questline is absolutely awful. Radiant quest system has to go. I hope they get rid of it in Elder Scrolls 6, but I don't think that's going to happen. I made a community post the other day, not this one, about Daggerfall's small quests. Many of the city quests were extremely simplistic, as you had fetch quests, delivery, kill and escort quests. But then, these simple quests were aided by high quality writing, and every character you meet had some personality. When working on these quests, you are surprised by some random events or encounters, or maybe an NPC you are supposed to meet say something that puts you off. I love that. These Daggerfall handcrafted radiant quests, as I call them, were 100 times better than the crappy radiant quests of Skyrim. If any mod author is looking at creating quests, then take a look at these by the Temple, the Knights Orders, the Merchants Guild, or the Nobles quests from Daggerfall. They are fantastic examples of how great writing and some random events can add so much to fetch, kill, escort, or delivery quests. Alias filling distillations. The way that alias fills work on text means that a standardized template must be used, which means it makes it impossible for the quests to be tailored for the destination. The result of this is that it is not possible to actually give the player enough information to discover the location themselves, requiring that the quest immediately reveals a marker on your map. The player is actively blocked from exploration and discovery by limitations of the system. Not to mention that it's immersion shattering for a player to magically know where the secret bandit camp is. Collective impact on roleplaying. The alias log system destroys roleplay by randomizing and standardizing quests, making them bland and forgettable, while simultaneously destroying immersion and ability to take any sort of initiative in locating the target. It solely serves as a band-aid to replayability and the most low-effort possible impetus to look at set-piece dungeons. No flavor whatsoever and no margin in which to rely roleplay. Exactly. Comparison examples. Consider Bethesda's retrieval quest in the Companion's quest line. Ayla gives you a Radiant Bandit dungeon to collect a fragment of Wuthrad from. Ayla has heard that the Silver Hand are holding a fragment of Wuthrad at this camp. I'm going to retrieve it, is the entirety of the instructions you are given. It is actually impossible to complete this quest without looking at the map marker it gives you or already knowing where that camp is. It gives you no control over where this alias is, so it can send you to the same far corner of the world over and over. Further, there is absolutely no flavor at all, completely bland. There is one fragment that she wants, and only that fragment will do. It didn't even exist until the magic moment when you spoke to her. Even if we generously ignore the fact that random bandits have it for some reason, and Ayla knows for some reason, the quest is just brain dead and boring. Consider dealing with Daedra's Witch Hunter bounty system. You can buy a note with a customized text for a point of interest in a hold of your choice. Each note has a customized text which both alludes to the target of the quest without explicitly stating it. So the player is forced to apply a modicum of critical thought as well as having an actual flavor as a hook for a roleplay reason to go do it. Fantastic. If you get a note you don't like, you can simply ignore it or keep it for later. Additionally, notes that actually have an upfront cost, turning it into a cost-benefit investment opportunity for the character. If they simply explore around themselves, they might not find anything, but if they do it, it is pure profit compared to buying the information. Any trophy item will get you a reward. Any viable bounty target will drop a trophy. This would not be feasible if each bounty started a quest. If each quest used an objective alias, or if the bounty text description needed to fit a standardized Radiant description text. Fantastic, right? The fact that this alludes to the target. Essentially, it gives you the problem and maybe tells you this could be the solution. So you have to actually use a modicum of critical thought. Alright, next, the psychology of the arrow. The third member of the unholy trinity of god-awful design choices in the Skyrim quest log is a magic objective marker arrow. The arrow completely destroys the spirit of exploration and actively punishes the player for trying to think. Conditions a lack of player attention. When you cannot reliably find an objective on your own due to the lack of adequate directions created by the Radiant system above, combined with an arrow that tells you exactly where to go at any time, your brain turns off. Why bother to think if thinking doesn't help and isn't necessary? Exactly. This in turn means that if an opportunity to think does arise, players don't. That's true. The Blood on the Ice quest, while still extremely basic in this regard, is the most open-ended and exploration-heavy quest in Skyrim. It is also probably the number one most bug-reported quest in Skyrim. It is essentially the only quest like that. So when the arrow doesn't magically solve the problem, the player didn't even consider thinking about it and just assumed it was broken. Fascinating. If you know exactly where to go, you do not need to explore. Location appears on your map, arrow appears on the location, fast travel to nearest lone marker, and move in direct line to the objective. No need to look for landmarks, no need to pass world interaction triggers or unmarked locations, no need to critically appraise the ground for little animal paths and dirt roads. Movement from point A to point B becomes a simple chore instead of an actual part of the game. This is in addition to the immediate roleplay problem introduced by having the arrow point directly at the objective, where your character has no in-universe reason to actually know where it is yet, and no need to look around for clues or poke into every cranny to find the chest. I was playing this quest in quotes from one of the factions of dealing with Daedra, and you meet this NPC here who actually tells you that he has some ink that he has manufactured, and we need to deliver this ink to another faction called Eastmarch Gentlemen's Club on the road south of Kynesgrove. And once done, I need to meet the agent, this guy, at Nightcaller's Inn. So as you can see, this is a quest that does not have a map marker, so you don't know where Eastmarch Gentlemen's Club is. It is somewhere on the road south of Kynesgrove. This is just one example, right? Another example. So you actually meet in the same mod dealing with Daedra, you actually meet an NPC who says that the Atmoran religion is back and we have a cult that is very near Morthal. So please visit us. That's what he says. And he says you need to visit the soup kitchen at an old Nordic ruin off the road near Morthal. You actually have to get to Morthal and then figure out where this old Nordic ruin is off the road, and then find the soup kitchen and then join this faction. Stuff like this makes you think, right? It gives you some reason to actually understand the world of Skyrim, the map, the location, geography, and it keeps you involved. Very interesting stuff like this that you can do at level 1, and you can progress your character such a way that you don't have to be a murder hobo and go about killing to progress, You can do stuff like this and actually have a lot of fun. Okay, let's move on. I'm talking a lot. Conditions. Alright, we're finished with that. This appeals to the lowest common denominator. The final point is perhaps the most contentious, but perhaps the most egregious. The kind of player who could not play Skyrim without the no thought required arrow, the impossible to fail quests, the no consequence quest lines, and the no role playing approach, the impossible to forget log, and the impossible to miss quest lines would not be able to play Skyrim that used Morrowind gameplay mechanics. Exactly. So if you're following my channel, we have this amazing series that's going on in currently, and where we visit the Somerset Isle. I really enjoy this mod because you can play like you play classic Elder Scrolls, right? You can ignore the main quest and you can actually walk around, visit multiple cities, talk to people and get information and help them and aid them, and finally do the main quest. I like such new land mods rather than a new land mod which is very linear, right? In this mod, there was one quest which says, Thorumhel of Sunhold has told me that there's a problem with zombies showing up to terrorize the town every night. He asked me to look into the matter and agreed. I should take a look around to see the town if I find anything. This is a classic example of a quest that makes you think, because there's no arrow, there's no floating arrow, there's no map marker. So I can't directly go to the solution, right? Look around town to see if you can find anything. So essentially my character just kept going around buildings and if there were any signs of any suspicious activity. She arrives at this building and lo and behold, we find some
blood splatter here.
We find some blood spots here, blood marks here. And if we investigate this building, we actually find there's a necromancer's lair here inside. So this is far more interesting, where you actually need to do some investigation, you actually need to look for clues, then a quest which directly points you to the solution. And unfortunately this mod, if you go to Reddit and talk about this mod, a lot of people absolutely hate this mod. For some reason, they say the quests are boring, they don't give me help. So that's what the mod author is talking about. He says that the kind of player who could not play Skyrim without the no thought required arrow, the impossible to fail quests, and the no consequence quest lines, and no role-playing approach, the impossible to forget log, and the impossible to miss quest lines, would not be able to play a Skyrim that used Morrowind gameplay mechanics. Class system and birth signs, too complex and carries a permanent consequence. Attribute system with interplay beyond the three main stats, too complicated and opaque without reading a manual. With this character's death, the thread of prophecy is severed. Restore a saved game to restore the weave of fate, or persist the doom world you have created. Yeah, this is the message that comes up when you actually kill Vivek, right? In Morrowind, it's so funny. Can't have that. By implementing the absurdly casual quest log, it opens the door to complete casualization of the entire game to match a process that has occurred every game since Daggerfall, but was by far the most severe in the transition from Oblivion to Skyrim. Every casualization reduced player expression, roleplay potential, and immersive depth. Exactly. Nail on the head, man. Collective impact on roleplaying. Collectively, these all rob the player of any agency, any ability to apply critical thinking, no need to understand the compass, or be capable of identifying landmarks or reason to actually explore the world of Skyrim. The quest log actively destroys the journey of discovery in favor of kill, loot, return, where the world is just an inconvenience to go through rather than a rich medium for role-playing story. Skyrim actually has an amazing world. You have incredible details and people still keep finding new things even now. And yet, when it comes to the content, the entire system is so skewed towards casualization that is very unfortunate. It's an amazing game, but sadly, the systems hinder it. Closing. Dealing with Daedra is a niche mod by very definition. Yes, it's niche, right? I'm assuming most people will hate this mod. It is designed to undo the catastrophic damage that Bethesda has done to the roleplay aspect of the series. The vanilla Skyrim quest log was directly responsible for this damage in a multitude of ways. As such, dealing with Daedra does not use the quest log and never will. Either try to play it as intended and perhaps discover the joys of the system that the quest log stole from you, or go elsewhere. Beautiful. Yeah, mind is blown, that's what I said. And this person says, found 24 paragraphs on why I'm contributing to the depth of role-playing, and I'm probably a swit that would never survive in Morrowind. This is peak internet content, and the whole thing should be framed in a museum. I know I'm going to frame it as soon as I get my printer working again. I'm going to be talking about this to the aforementioned family member for days. Amazing, absolutely iconic. Amazing blog, amazing. Thank you so much, Flinch147. You have done a great service to Skyrim by creating this incredible mod dealing with Daedra. I would recommend you guys to install this mod and start working on these quests and these factions. There's so much here. There's so much content here. So all of these are quest lines. You see, there's so many factions here. Lots of quest lines in quotes. Yeah, so all of these player hubs, there's so much here. So this is one of my favorite mods that will always remain in my load order whenever I play Skyrim. And let me know what do you think. I mean, if some points, do they make sense or do they don't make sense, and do you agree with the Morata on some aspects and you don't agree with him on some aspects. Let us know in the comments below, and I shall see you again soon for more content from the amazing world of Skyrim modding. May the divines watch over you all.